So today I will be joined by Shelby Peerboom, who is a personal trainer at an exercise-based therapy gym called Pushing Boundaries in Washington, in Redmond to be more specific. We will be discussing the differences between exercise-based therapy and traditional occupational therapy and physical therapy, as well as some of the benefits of exercise-based therapy and how it can help an individual following a spinal cord injury, stroke, or other event that causes a disability. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
Chuki Beats.
So where did you go to college and what did you study and kind of why did you choose to study that?
I went to Eastern Washington University out in Cheney, Washington, just close to Spokane, and I studied exercise science. So I have my degree in exercise science. And going into school, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I just always knew I loved fitness, exercising, kind of enjoyed that and enjoyed learning about the body. And so I just kind of decided on exercise science, and that's what I went with. I didn't know what I wanted to do after school with it. But yeah, I just went with it. I originally was going to do athletic training, but decided not to do that and stuck with the exercise science.
So you obviously didn't know you want to become a personal trainer and work at an exercise-based therapy gym, but did you kind of know like you wanted to be like going into the personal training community and did you have ideas about the disability community, or was it more after college you kind of started hearing about Pushing Boundaries and the kind of work they did with that disability community, if you will?
So when I graduated, I really didn't know what I wanted to do still, even when I graduated. And I just kind of went on Indeed and started looking for jobs. And there was this little studio in West Seattle that I just applied to, and I really liked the feel of that. So that's what I started with, just general population personal training right after school. And I stayed there for about a year and a half. And it didn't feel right to me. I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I didn't feel like I was making a difference in people's lives. And so it just wasn't a good fit for me. And so I started another job search on Indeed and came across the Pushing Boundaries posting. And I had never heard of it before. And I decided to just randomly apply. And before the interview, it was the night before the interview for Pushing Boundaries, I got really nervous and I almost backed out. And I said, you know what, it's fine. I'll just go do it. I almost backed out because I didn't have any experience with people with disabilities or paralysis or training in that world. And so, yeah, I almost backed out and obviously didn't. And here I am at Pushing Boundaries three years later. And it's a good fit for me right now. I love it. So Pushing Boundaries is there to provide intensive exercise therapy that strengthens and supports people living with paralysis and their families to maximize health and improve quality of life. That's the mission statement of Pushing Boundaries. So,
What is the difference between exercise-based therapy and occupational or physical therapy like you would experience like outpatient in a hospital?
yeah, that's definitely a question that we get a lot. I would say, obviously we don't have our doctorates in physical therapy. We all have personal training certificates and our certified inclusive fitness trainer certificates. So I think the biggest thing is that we are personal trainers. We're there to give people workouts. I would suggest anybody that's going to a personal trainer, they all also go see a physical therapist. They work very well in conjunction with each other. And so that's kind of the main difference, is that we are personal trainers, but you still go see your physical therapist. We're going to give you a good workout, build that strength. The physical therapist is there to help you with any other injuries, or try and also build strength too, but very specific. We get specific with our goals too, but we're going to help build strength with longer sessions. We can do longer sessions than physical therapy can. And so yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing, is just that we're personal trainers that specialize in neurological disorders, and just like any other personal trainer.
Is there anything that you can't do or is more challenging because you're a gym rather than a hospital or a rehab facility?
I don't think that there's really anything that we, as far as training wise, not really. We do have some good specialized equipment like the local mat and a lot of electrical stimulation bikes. But I guess the biggest thing that is there from a business aspect is that we can't take insurance because we're not legally recognized as healthcare. So that's the biggest thing that we run into. Other than that, training wise, there's little things just with insurance that we can't do, or that we don't do. But yeah.
On the flip side of that, is there anything that you can do or is easier because you're a gym that maybe hospitals have like restrictions around or stuff, or is it kind of the same thing where it's like pretty similar and you both have that kind of freedom to help patients as you see fit?
Yeah, as far as I know, I think it's pretty similar. Just as far as training goes, we can do a lot of the same things. It differs when we get into like the notes and everything for clients and just that insurance aspect of things. But
So, what are the benefits of exercise-based therapy and going to pushing boundaries in particular? And so that's similar to the last question in a way, but what from a almost like from a patient's point of view, and I can also answer this a little bit, but what is like the benefits you guys see from your point of view as to going to pushing boundaries?
yeah, I think the biggest thing is just having people have a space to be able to get up and get moving and not feel self-conscious, because I think that's a big thing for a lot of people going into just your general gym, is that there's a little bit of hesitation to go in there. You may need a little more help or things like that, where we have all of that equipment and knowledge to help people get the best workout. So just getting up, getting moving, and to help build strength in any way you can. Keep blood flow going, because that's really important for other health concerns, just blood flow, keep away pressure sores and all that kind of thing. Get cardio in and getting people out of their chair if they're in one. It just gives a sense of freedom, I think. I don't know, some of you can speak to that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, but that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is trying to get people out of their chairs, moving around as much as possible. And then another big thing I think is a social aspect, is just giving people, and again, you could probably speak to this, giving people a space where they feel comfortable and there's other people around that are going through the same things that they are. They can kind of communicate in a different way and give little tips here and there.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing I would add is that for certain people that are higher level injuries or maybe like stroke patients or have other certain impairments, it just makes not even be possible to go to the gym. For me, like I wouldn't be able to do like most of the workouts we do at Pushing Boundaries, so I need someone to help me like strap my gloves into like a cable tower or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, sense of community is pretty big too. Like I've met like a ton of people there, and I haven't had that much help from other people at the gym, just because I'm there usually like when people that aren't necessarily spinal cord injuries are there. One good example is like Brent. I don't think he heard about the rugby team like through Pushing Boundaries and myself, but I know I was part of the reason for him wanting to go to the rugby team and him seeing me at Pushing Boundaries and whatnot. And I know there's been people that have asked me for advice while I was there and stuff like that. But yeah, just like the fact that it's like somewhere I can do pretty much any workout, whereas I definitely wouldn't be able to do that at a normal gym. Is super beneficial. Kind of going on that same train of thought though. What are some of the tactics or workouts that are more common? And obviously it can differ from person to person, but what are like the kind of I guess staple might be the right word, workout methods that you guys use consistently?
Yeah, so it definitely does vary between client, but overall, we use repetition with a lot of our clients, just because that's how the we're going to work that neuroplasticity to where the brain remembers what it needs to be doing. You're going to get that with repetition. So we do a lot of the same things for a lot of reps. And that's kind of one of the more important things is that repetition. of the exercises. So I think that'd be the main thing.
Can it be challenging to make these workouts, especially if there's someone who's more impaired, maybe they don't have movement of their arms or have a lot of spasticity? Is it sometimes challenging to find adequate workouts that really help a patient, or is there ample enough workouts and exercises that any patient can really do any workout?
Yeah, it's not challenging. I think we build off of what people have, and that's where I want to go. We want to build that strength to make any movement stronger, more functional. Different people have their different goals, and we're going to build off of those, no matter what level of injury, no matter what kind of paralysis you have. We're going to do what we can to make something stronger. Yeah, it's important to get people moving, and below the level of injury, even if they don't have movement, we use a lot of electrical stimulation, again, for that blood flow, just maintaining that muscle mass. It's really important. So I don't think it's challenging at all. I think we have to be creative in what we do, but it's definitely not challenging. It makes us work hard to help somebody get something back, stronger, maintain, whatever it is their goal is. I think we work hard at that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess in a similar sense, there's also or often a lot of complications with spinal cord injuries, strokes, whatever kind of diseases may come with impairments. So do you ever kind of lean into those things? Like, for example, for me, lightheadedness and spasms might be one where will you use like spasms to help someone stand, for example, or if someone's lightheadedness, it may make their muscles more sore. So we kind of work harder while they're lightheaded, or is it kind of like avoiding these things just because they add a little bit of risk at times?
Yeah, I think so. I think your spasm comment, we do sometimes they will get in the way of working out, or just in the way of somebody's activities of daily living, right? But sometimes we can use those to help an exercise. And if somebody can use their spasm to help them stand, I think that's go for it. As far as lightheadedness, I think that's a little bit trickier to exercise around, because usually lightheadedness means somebody's getting ready to pass out. So we definitely are a little bit more careful around that. We don't want anybody to pass out. And so we usually take it easier if they're feeling lightheaded. But yeah, really anything else, we're pushing people as hard as they can go, or whatever that workout needs, we're going to push them to that. So obviously being cautious of other things as necessary. But
you guys also have a ton of equipment, which is one of the reasons you guys kind of are set apart from normal gyms. What do some of these this equipment what are some of the benefits of this equipment, and why does it help? There's so much stuff from like bone density, blood pressure. Could you talk about some of the benefits of that equipment, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think you said it. There is the bone density, the blood pressure, the just maintaining muscle. We have a lot of equipment that's geared towards that. So we have a local mat, which that's going to help build muscle, maintain muscle. It gets you weight bearing, so you can work on that bone density. We have electrical stimulation that actually contracts the muscle, so that's going to help blood flow, again, maintain muscle, help build muscle. And so a lot of the equipment is geared towards working on that and maintaining muscle and getting somebody upright and blood flow and all of that.
Yeah, for sure. Could you, I guess, say a little more about those particular stuff? I guess starting with the Locomat. What is a Locomat and how does it work? Yeah.
The Locomat is a robotic gait training system. So we strap people in a harness that holds them over a treadmill, and then we can get somebody's legs connected to the robot, and it'll walk over a treadmill in a natural gait pattern. So we can get that high repetition from the robot moving somebody's legs, to help with that neuroplasticity, to help somebody learn how to walk with a more natural gait pattern. We can have somebody work with the robot to help build strength in that gait pattern. It's really good for somebody to just get up and moving the legs, range of motion in their legs, and blood flow and all of that, weight bearing. I think I said that, but yeah, the main purpose is that gait training and taking somebody's legs through that repetitive motion and getting somebody upright.
Yeah, how does that compare to a standing frame? So a standing frame, you're just standing there, not really moving. And so what's the kind of, or how do you decide standing frame versus Locomat or vice versa?
Right. So a lot of it, we look at somebody's contraindications. So if they can or can't get in the Locomat, we're going to not do it because they can't, just for some health reason. But I think a good way to look at that is depends on a client's goals. If a client really wants to learn to walk again, and if that's a reasonable goal, or if they want to just start getting blood flow, range of motion through their legs, we're going to use the Locomat. It really depends on how the client feels about it, I think, and what our goals are. Because we can build muscle, we can help maintain the muscle mass in the legs using the Locomat, but I think as far as standing frame goes, we can do different things with the standing frame. So yeah, we are getting weight bearing, but we can also go to a tower of weights and use weights while doing this, standing in the standing frame. So I think they're very different as far as training purposes, but both very useful.
Yeah, I guess another thing that I was curious about or wondering about is the Galileo. I just kind of that shaking board. I've never understood like why that reduces spasms, and I understand why or helps with blood pressure. Kind of moves it, gets your blood pressure, it gets your blood flowing. But how does that Galileo work? And is spasm reduction the kind of only benefit you get from it?
So I think it's different for every person. I don't know, Seb, you might really feel like it helps your spasms. Somebody else may not get that response from it, but kind of the main idea behind it is that the different frequencies that we shake at contract and relax the muscles. The slower frequencies are going to give more time for that contraction and relaxation to happen, whereas the higher frequencies, you don't get as much relaxation of the muscles. So they kind of stay contracted the whole time. That kind of fatigues the muscle, so it may not, after you get off of it, the muscle just may not be able to contract as hard for that spasm. It also helps with blood flow, and again, that bone density. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's I guess it's interesting because like for me, I've always kind of used it as a spasm reduction method, and I haven't really ever thought about it as a blood pressure kind of helper. And even if it does help my blood pressure, I don't think I've really noticed because like working out in general helps my blood pressure, right? And helps me stabilize my blood pressure, like body temperature, all sorts of things, including spasms as well. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm now like realizing like I may not realize the full benefits I've been getting from these there's all this equipment, right? And then one thing I would think about too is like I've been thinking about like trying like standing frames or Locomat again, especially for that bone density, because I've had like severe osteoporosis for like I think a year or two now, and there's like all these problems like getting insurance approval for like a new medicine that's supposed to help or whatever. But I guess from a trainer standpoint, for me, I enjoy like the active working out more so than like FES bikes and using equipment like doing the cable tower or pulling weights behind my wheelchair or stuff like that. So, is there a balance in between the two that a patient or client should find, or is it kind of better just to kind of follow your goals as a client, or for someone like me, should I kind of focus my attention more on doing a little bit of both rather than just the active working out, if that makes sense?
It does. I think that's a really good question, because there's always going to be things that us as trainers want people to do, just for general overall health, whether it's the spinal cord injury population or general population. There's always going to be things that as a trainer you want your client to do, but they don't want to do it. And so I think it is finding a balance between, hey, I think this will be really good for you, but let's focus on our goals. So there's that balance between working on your goals and going, your goals are really being able to push your chair better for rugby. So that doesn't necessarily mean we sit on a bike for an hour, right? So it is that balance, finding where can we do the things that are going to help improve or meet your goals, and the things that are necessary, is good for you just for general overall health.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess in another sense, you guys often enjoy kind of taking your clients outside and stuff. Is there a different, like, especially for someone like me pushing a wheelchair outside the complex, or someone walking on a standing frame outside the complex, is there very explicit or deliberate benefits to that? I can't think of the right word, but or is it kind of, let's go outside because it's nice today, if that makes sense? Because that's like one of the things I enjoy a lot. Obviously, it's going out and work out in the sun. But from a trainer standpoint, where do you guys kind of stand on that and your reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I think there's not like a clear cut reason, or it's not going to help you exercise better. I think mentally it helps people. It's a nice day out. Let's just get outside, get some sun on us. It's more fun outside. I think just for the psychological benefits, everybody's a little bit happier out in the sun. So if there's sun, especially around here, we want to use it and get outside and do what we can outside.
Yeah, especially with our vitamin D depraved Washington
Yeah.
weather.
Exactly.
That's a good point, though, the mental health aspect of working out. Because for me, like, when I kind of get down on myself and depressed, I'll find myself staying cooped up indoors longer naturally, not getting out of bed till like midday, 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. Stuff like that. And so I think working out is like one of the really good ways to make myself feel productive and feel like I'm like achieving my goals, because my goals are to be more healthy and more fit and stronger and whatnot. So have you guys seen kind of a improvement almost like every or does every patient that comes to you have a mental improvement, or is it still a struggle for some patients, maybe because they don't want to have to work out in a wheelchair or for whatever reason, or is it kind of very black and white where your mental health improves?
I think that's a tough question. I think, yes, exercise does have some benefit for mental health, and it does affect people in some way, but I don't know, it's just so different for everybody. And different people are at different points with their injury, that it's going to affect you differently at different timelines. So I think that's a tough question, is that I'd like to say, yes, it helps everybody, but it may not. It may make somebody feel a little bit different about their injury. I wouldn't say worse, but just realizing different things, like, oh, I can do this, or I can't do this yet. So, we like to put that in there, yet. But yeah, I think that's a tough question. And like I said, I'd like to think that it helps everybody in a positive way, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I guess kind of on a similar track, part of what you guys do is helping people kind of get their independence back, and sometimes you need a little bit more occupational therapy, more so than personal training, which is kind of more your aisle. But has there been times when, like for me, it's very easy to get frustrated with myself and very easy to kind of like be hard on myself when I can't do something or can't achieve a goal that I want right away or quickly enough.
Mhm.
So do you guys kind of, or how do you guys kind of help patients achieve their goals with those finer motor skills and trying to get to that level of independence more quickly, with not necessarily like working out or sheer strength, but that like more occupational therapy style of working out?
Yeah, we have a lot of different equipment that we use for that. So one thing I'm thinking of specifically is the Amadeo, which is our hand machine. We attach somebody's fingers if they don't have a lot of volitional movement, or if they have some, uh, it's good for range of motion. What we attach their fingers to little magnets on the machine, and it takes their fingers through opening and closing, and so they can work with it if they have movement. They can open it with it, close with it. Or if they don't have any, we can just work on range of motion, opening their hand up a little bit more. So maybe they can be a little bit more functional with it just in how they use it. So we try to look at how somebody moves, how somebody can use their body, and build off of that, no matter what it is. So the fine motor things are definitely a little bit harder to work on, but we look at the big picture and see, okay, how can we improve this motion for you in any way we can? So
Yeah, I guess one thought I might have about that is, for me, I use my tenodesis a lot, which is, you know, how your hand, when you pull it back, it tightens, which just makes it easier to grab stuff.
mm-hmm.
If you're someone living with a spinal cord injury, or sometimes even paralysis from stroke or disease, if it affects your hands.
Right.
But is it, and I've used that a little bit and then I stopped because I wasn't able to move my fingers with it, so wasn't really helping. But is there a thought that it may cause more harm than good if it affects that tenodesis negatively? Or even though if you have good tenodesis, will that extra little bit of flexibility and less of tenodesis, would that still be beneficial? Or is that potentially not harmful, but may make it harder for people with tenodesis to do daily activities?
I think it depends. It may not, it's not going to be harmful. It just depends on how you use your body. I think for you, it works. And if it, yeah, we might want to be able to strengthen those muscles that help that. But if you found something that works for you right now, go for it. We can work on strengthening those things as we go along. Like there's different things we can incorporate into workouts to help strengthen that, using electrical stimulation to see if we can get function back there, or just build on the function that you do have. And so a lot of the times that may not be your goal either. If you don't want to work on it, we don't have to work on it. I think, yeah, ultimately most people do want to work on fingers and wrist and that kind of stuff. But it just depends. I think if you can get some function back to help you, or use the tenodesis to help you grab things, I think it's worth it. Use it, go for it. But work on the other things that we can to help.
Yeah, for sure. Something you actually mentioned there made me think of another question. What or how does you combining therapies and kind of maybe integrating certain equipments together help patients improve function and muscle better, and kind of what are some of those things you combine? Because I just thought of, like, I just got accepted to this study at UW for the hopefully improving finger function through that electrical stimulation externally. And so if I, for example, gain a little bit of finger function back with this, then I could potentially go back to this machine, right, and use that finger function I gained to then improve more finger function through that machine. And I think it's probably going to evolve a lot of Easton here, but how do you kind of combine therapies to really get the best out of these equipments? Or do some just, is it better to not combine some therapies with this equipment, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think kind of the way I'm thinking about it is using electrical stimulation, your muscle strength, and doing some task. So if we, for instance, we've had plenty of clients we put stim on their wrists and they go and try and pick up, we have little like squishy little fruit things that we just have people pick up and put into the next bin or whatever. Pick up a weight, hold a weight with electrical stimulation. So combining those kind of things I think is really important, where the electrical stimulation can help you contract your muscles. You can also help contract your muscles because the electrical stimulation is helping tell you what muscles to try and contract. And then we have some tasks to focus on too. So that's like kind of the main thing that I can think of in combining modalities, really.
Yeah, I guess Easton is interesting that way, where it's kind of trying to get those neural pathways back up and running that are blocked by a spinal cord injury or your brain not being able to send signals to the right places because of a stroke. And is that kind of the same thing as neuroplasticity, or is that a different type of neural pathway in training your brain and your spinal cord and muscles?
Yeah, so same neuroplasticity, that repetition, your brain being able to connect which muscle I'm using or you're using, definitely.
That makes a lot of sense. I guess it's been pretty enlightening. Do you have any kind of final comments, plugging, pushing boundaries, shouting out your homies? I don't know.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, pushing boundaries is there for you if you need it, and if you're ready to get started. I mean, it's a good place to come and get movement in, and yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me today and for like everything you do for me at Pushing Boundaries, as well as everyone at Pushing Boundaries. Yeah, thank you again.
You're welcome.